But even with the rain, the return of the Holton 4th of July parade didn't miss a beat. Earlier today, there was a pretty large law enforcement presence because the body was found here by the stream. I think people are feeling maybe a little nervous. Am I the only one?
Like, Audrey, that photo of the Northern Lights before the break, that is a bucket list thing for me.
I know. I've been wanting to see them for so long. I can't believe I missed it last
We're in the place for it, though.
We are.
The point of Open Farm Day is to educate the community and keep them involved in their local farms. This is the first time in over a year and a half that Canadians have been able to cross that land border onto U.S. soil, and I know it's been a long time coming for the friends and families that are living in these border communities. You know, I've heard people say before that the communities here, they're hardly separate towns, let alone separate countries. The neighbors that we did speak to, like I said, knew about Jonathan's podcast and had heard of Mayor before.
While the CDC is set to meet today to vote on Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for children 5 to 11. Investigators were back in South Paris yesterday after a 5-year-old boy died in a fire Tuesday afternoon. As the weather gets colder, many Mainers are concerned about what will happen to heating fuel prices.
There are advocacy groups, Facebook pages, and even some politicians who are speaking up about the families divided by the closed U.S.-Canadian border.
My sister that we just met today.
Shavela Moran and Jean Carnes were both born and raised in the county, but they never knew they were half-sisters until both did DNA tests.
Well, Monticello is bringing us together.
Yeah.
They met for the first time at Monticello's 175th anniversary parade.
I've been researching the DeLong family. There's many DeLongs that I expect to meet today for the first time. And we expect to drive by the old homestead.
Yeah, we're going to take her up and show her where her grandparents lived.
In October, Carnes discovered she was a member of the DeLong family, a Monticello institution who go back further than the town itself. Their great-great-grandfather was born in the town in 1837, 9 years before Monticello was officially incorporated. The two half-sisters first connected over the phone in May. Partly because of COVID and partly because neither drives anymore, Carnes finally made the trip up this week from her current home in New Hampshire. The two stayed for the parade, but after, Moran was looking forward to introducing Carnes to a few more family members.
She knows more about them than I do.
The two are happy to have found each other.
I always think that I'm our father's gift to each other.
Yeah.
But Moran thinks maybe there was a connection all along.
It's funny, her hair is just the way I always wear mine.
The sisters' long overdue introduction was a fitting celebration for the anniversary of the town the DeLongs have called home for generations. Rhian Lowndes, News Source 8. As medical professionals have had to learn new processes to handle the pandemic, they've also had to cope with the rise in deaths they see in their work. Cary Medical Center staff Casey Susie and Kristen Babin both say the toll on mental health has been huge as they've struggled to do the same job nurses have done for generations.
Trying to find beds for these patients was just, really, really frustrating. We have somebody, we've done everything that we can, we've hit all of our marks, we've met all of the needs that we can meet within our hospital. And then the next step is to transfer them out to a tertiary facility that can do more for these patients. But unfortunately, we would call sometimes every hour to ask for beds, and we did have patients die here awaiting transport. That's just a really, really sad and heartbreaking thing to talk to a family about. We constantly did the best that we could. And we always call Life Flight, they're gonna come, and they couldn't come because there was no beds to take these people to.
Susie says visitors can be as therapeutic as medicine. Her staff try to distance from patients to limit exposure, but human interaction has always been an element of nursing.
I guess there was one situation with a patient that I had. I was in the room for approximately 6 hours with that patient. I sat at the bedside and held their hand, and I held the phone. The patient was sedated, but I held the phone to the patient's ear so that, at least 7 times there was different family members that would call in, and I could hear it because the phone, it's loud, and I was just sitting there sobbing, listening to each family member say their goodbyes to this patient. and it was rough. And, you know, I held his hand, and it was, and then he took his last breath. That was probably the roughest one, but we've had several like that. It's not been easy.
Both want to remind the community that no matter what, hospitals are there to help.
People just are constantly asking, you know, should I wear a mask? Is the mask even doing anything? I don't know the answer to that, but what I know is that no matter what anybody's going to tell me, I'm going to do what somebody's going to recommend to keep me and my family and the community out of the hospital with COVID, because it is as bad as we're saying it is. It is terrifying, it is lonely, and it's scary. Just stay safe.
Babin and Susie say that COVID has changed the medical industry, and their experience here is no different than that of medical workers all around the country. Rhian Lowndes, News Source 8.